Welcome to the math section of our training today. So for math, I just picked out two apps or websites for us to go over today. The first one is Desmos, and the second one is called Equatio that you can use in your Google Drive. So first, Desmos is a online graphing calculator that allows for further manipulatives. But the way I'm going to demo it today, because most of you may have heard of Desmos before, and if not, you can open up the regular Desmos and explore it. But I am going to show you how I differentiate lessons using Desmos. So I create a document that I have open here. And what my document is a side-by-side for further instruction for my students using a Desmos already created lesson. So what Desmos has as a library is you can go through and pick a lesson or activity that is pre-created. But what I've found is my students often have a lot of questions during their independent work, or I need to enhance the lesson a little bit. So with the Desmos activities, I create a Google Doc that is organized slide by slide with some further instructions or a couple questions that just helps to clarify some of the Desmos activities. So I'm going to go ahead and join my activity. And I don't have to sign in because you're going to enter your name. And what this does is it puts the student's answers into the teacher. So it will automatically link to your teacher's account once you get that set up. So slide number 1, you'll see the welcome slide. I wrote, please make sure you read this, because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my students, they see this text here and they're like, oh, I don't have to do anything, so I'm going to skip over it. Well, this instructions, we're getting our students trained to understand that it's important to read the instructions before they start their work. So then we go to slide number 2, and my instructions over on the Google Doc say adjust either A or B or the C slider. So that isn't very clear here. It says it above, but again, a lot of my students don't see the actual instructions. So the slide by slide instructions I've found are very useful. So I'm sliding my A. Oh, and look, it passed through the blue right there. And I don't need to slide any of my other ones because I've already got it. Then I can go to the next slide and I might check my Google Doc, answer the short question, and I just rephrased it here. Which slider did you adjust to match the parabola on the blue dots? And that exact same question over here is just reworded a little bit. And I want the students to answer in the Desmos. And this is just an accompanying activity sheet for the students to follow along with. So like I said, for differentiation, instead of having to clarify the same question 10 different times for 10 different students, now you have it on a document that's a side-by-side parallel. But also you may differentiate for some of your higher achieving students as well, to extend and maybe ask further questions that is an extension of the activity. So I added in some questions here. Describe how the slider A moves the graph, etc., which those questions were not necessarily explicitly stated in the Desmos activity itself. So again, a graphing calculator, I'm not going to demo that because actually when I get into the Equatio side of things, Desmos and Equatio are partners, and a lot of the Desmos graphing is actually used within Equatio when I go to a Google Doc. So here we go. Equatio, our second math extension that we're going through today. I open up a blank Google Doc, and Equatio is an extension again up in the right-hand corner. If I click on that, then this toolbar down here shows up, and it is my math toolbar. So I can type my math, I can read my math, I can do screenshots of my math, or I can type it out the old school LaTeX way if you are a teacher that prefers that as well. This just transforms it into a Google Doc form instead of using the Microsoft that you may have used on your desktop before. So let's try this out. So start typing. One thing that is really cool is that there is prediction. So I just did squared. Let's put a number in there first, 5, and then squared. There we go, 5 squared equals. We know that equals 25. So I might have a student insert that math in. And then it goes into our document. My buttons are hidden down here by my my share screen icon, but there is a button that says insert math. For my elementary folks, if you are creating a worksheet for students to fill out for adding or multiplying and you want to align, look at this. I'm going to start typing addition. I can do 2-digit vertical, 3-digit vertical, and it will put in those digits for me. So I might do 345 plus 20. And then you could insert that in and make worksheets that are already aligned for your students. How cool is that? I think that is a really cool feature that helps with formatting on our end. I'm just going to clear that out. Very cool. So I can type my math. I can do LaTeX. So those of you that may know some of the commands. So I use my caret for squared, and on the right hand side, it translates it into what you want. So 2 caret 2 is 2 squared equals. I might insert that in, etc., etc. Handwriting recognition, really cool here. So I'm going to clear out my math. I personally have a touchscreen Chromebook. Some of you might, some of you not so much. So this might be a hit or miss feature, but I could do 2 plus 2 equals, and it turns that into my math on the right hand side. I can clear that out. I might do 2 squared, or 2n to the squared. I thought that wasn't very clear, was it? 2 times 4 equals. And it is pretty accurate for what I have used it for. And again, you can press insert math and it will put it right on the page for you. All right, my favorite feature, speech to text math. This is amazing, you guys, especially if you're getting into the higher level math and you don't want to type out the quadratic formula or Pythagorean theorem, whatever it is. You can just press your record button and it will start a speech to text, essentially. And it's getting confused because it's picking up my words. But let's clear that. And let's try 2 squared plus 5 squared equals. Pause. And look at it. It did 2 squared plus 5 squared equals. Or a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Look how easy that was. That took me like less than 5 seconds instead of typing that all out. Speech to text math. Game changer for students, game changer for teachers, for real. All right, mobile. Unfortunately, with the screencast, I cannot demo this in this video, but this is great. Read this through. Use Math OCR, which is image recognition, and you could do the handwriting or speech on your device, and it will send it straight to this document. So you can have the app on your phone, and it links to your computer, and it will solve it for you. So if I have a worksheet that's a PDF, and I don't want to type it out, I can take a picture of that worksheet, and it will put it into Google Doc format. That's amazing. Okay, it's not just the image going in there, but it is creating typed numbers of that PDF that you might have a hard copy of. So it's not just scanning it. I want to be clear. It's not just scanning it into your document. It's literally taking the characters and retyping them into your document. So cool. Try that out. Play with it if you have a chance. All right, next feature on Equatio. This is just our math space. So if you don't want your students to be working in a Google Doc, or if you want them to have a manipulative space, look at this. It is just a plain space where they can work on math. So we might do the freehand drawing where they can practice again, just handwriting their math, and it's not going to change it into the typed format. This is just an open space for them to be working. So I might delete that. Clear. I can insert in some shapes here. So you might have circles or fraction bars you might be working with. All right. And this brought up a very cool thing. We can have the program talk to us about what each of these things are. So for maybe a visually impaired student that can't see this fraction bar, if we press that
fraction bar with black border,
we know what it is. It tells us what it is. So if a student can't see the screen, they might be able to type it or click it or have somebody click it for them.
Pink fraction bar with black border.
And it tells us what it is without even having to see it. So cool. That's a separate sheet there. And then last but not least on the Equatio demo is again the screenshot reader. So if I go into my doc and I type, it will let me type in here, 2 + 2 = 4. And I need my screenshot reader. I can screenshot that section and it will turn it into an audio piece for me. After it loads.
2 + 2 = 4.
And again, I think that voice is pretty good. And then just a reminder, if you don't want to wait for it to load as I'm thinking about this, remember we have our on-screen reader. So we could go in the right-hand corner, press our selected text, and just select that guy, and Chrome will read it.
2 + 2 = 4.
So it's really a preference of maybe what the student prefers, or needing it read aloud from Equatio, or just from your device. Really cool, you guys. I hope that you learned something new for the math apps. And if you have any questions, let me know.